We need to take 6 prize cards in order to win this game. That will seal up this finals, and here they are. My word, Alex, what do we notice about that?
That is a double Charmander in the prizes for Öjvind.
And a Pidgey.
This is gonna be a little bit tricky. We're kicking things off. This is the finals of Stuttgart Regional Championship 2025. We're looking to crown our winner here. Aarni will be kicking us off.
Our potential champion, Aarni, going ahead with that nest ball, kicking off Charizard style, possibly looking for Pidgeys, Charmanders, or indeed the Rotom V, dependent on the rest of the hand. Now, going first with Charizard is just as nice as going second. It's a bizarre scenario where actually either is great. The only problem with going first is getting all those essential Pokemon out, ready so they can evolve next turn confidently. So sometimes in a mirror, going first is trump.
Yeah, but at the same time, is a lot of the Charizard players have previously decided to go second at points because they start utilizing things like the Cleffa to use Grasping Draw on the first turn or get into the Arvins to be able to actually grab the right tool cards to really burst into the game. As we do see a second nest ball now hit the field for Aarni, I'm sure it's going to be something like that Rotom, which is currently at the front of the deck. That instant charge ability, one of those core components just to kind of maneuver the first couple of turns at points. Really, really vital when you're a setup deck like this.
I've heard many a fresh player ask me why it's so impactful for a deck like this to run Rotom. Why 3 cards are so essential, Alex?
I mean, because you're looking for all those combo pieces with those rare candies to kind of evolve up into something like the Pidgeot and then into the Charizard EX. Additional free cards, really just putting all of them into your hand is fantastic. But comboing that when you use Forest Sealstone as a fantastic tool onto a V Pokemon as well, giving it a V power, that Star Alchemy, allowing you to just search any card in your deck. That's where it really all comes together. As it is a passover, well, it wasn't a passover, it was that instant charge over to Öjvind, and now let's see how Öjvind can take this first turn going second.
Absolutely. Although instant charge is an ability, it does end your turn as it's quite powerful. So going straight in with the nest ball, and once again, we're probably going to see quite a similar turn. Really, Charizard just wants to make sure it's consistently getting set up. However, in this instance, we'll also get to play a supporter, which will just increase that consistency factor.
Yeah, 100%. And Öjvind, I'm sure, will be looking for a way maybe to maneuver the Rotom V out of the active spot as well. Generally, it's not in too much of a threat from Aarni's side of the board. One other way to extend over 180 damage, which is the base amount from Burning Darkness, is utilizing stuff like the Dusclops and Dusknoirs with the Curse Blast to either give Öjvind a prize or just put the damage counters on. But with that not currently on the board, Rotom might actually be safe, but you never really want to leave it in the active spot.
No, not particularly. Unfortunately, the HP is a little bit on the lower side and just can be taken advantage of later in the game.
Exactly that. As we do see the first nest ball just for that Charmander right now. It is Öjvind just shuffling up, so I'm wondering what currently else is in that hand. I'm sure he's going to be looking for those other pieces as well. He would have just worked out that it's just the one Charmander he has access to.
Okay, going for the attach return, we do seem to have a supporter, but it's just an Iono, so not that kind of expected Arven play that we love to see on kind of going second Charizard turns, usually for the Buddy Poffin and the Forest Sealstone. So we're hoping that Iono has brought us some treats.
Yeah, one of those aspects is trying to look for maybe a Buddy Poffin. We see the Pokestop that we've spoken about a little bit earlier, and he does spin. There's a boss. Oh, it's not quite the same that we saw in top 4. He was hoping for a nest ball or a Buddy Poffin, as you mentioned, because even if he did have an Arven in hand on that opening turn 1, because he only has access to one Charmander, sometimes there's just not much he can do about that. So it will just be an instant charge for now. Aarni's going to be staring down at that Charmander thinking, there's only one there. I've got to be able to take that out somehow.
Absolutely, and that's what we're going to be going for on this turn with Aarni, trying to take advantage of the fact that Öjvind just had a really lackluster turn, and that Pokestop really came to bite.
Yeah, Forest Sealstone popped already. Star Alchemy being utilized here. Let's see which direction Aarni will go down. I mean, if there's a world where he could get Pidgeot and Charizard into play alongside a boss's orders, this could spell a lot of trouble for Öjvind.
That really could spell disaster, and that's the risk of using Pokestop, right? They know that their opponent is lacking on just basic resources at this point, especially with the Pidgeot in there, and no Pidgey to be seen on board either, and that really is a big consistency factor of this deck, as we see Aarni create their own Pidgeot EX, so now they're able to essentially kind of use a Forest Sealstone per turn when you think about the quick search ability, allowing him to search for one card every turn.
Yeah, and just put it straight into your hand. You don't have to reveal it. You can grab whatever you like. We do see
you like
the Buddy Poffin now, so Arnie's just kind of, you know, stabilizing that full board here. So really troublesome to kind of just stare down from Öjvind's side. He did instant charge and does have that Forest Sealstone in his hand himself. But at the moment, this is just a little bit troubling. I wonder how Arnie's going to play this out, whether maybe he takes a slower route to victory here, because knowing that Öjvind hasn't really got much going, maybe he can build up the board a little bit further. Quick search here. I'm wondering exactly what card he pulled to the table there. We'll try and get a bit of a glimpse as well.
The Charizard Mirror is such a difficult one because your opponent's damage output scales when you take your prize cards. So although normally an aggressive start and taking lots of prize cards before your opponent would be beneficial, in this instance it can be your undoing if you're too keen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like just a Charmeleon, so he might be going down this sort of slower route just for the moment, and it is just an instant charge. I mean, what we've seen in previous mirror matches, especially when Charizard's been at the forefront of a meta or a format, is the one who can take out the Pidgeot EX in combination with a disruption card like Iono tends to find themselves in a much better footing. But here we go. Öjvind has found himself a bit of a route here. Does have the Forest Sealstone. He's popped his own Star Alchemy. During your turn, you may search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. He was eyeing up that Charizard EX that he may have just put down onto, well, into the hand effectively here. He's just kind of double confirming it is that Charizard EX. He must have rare candy there.
Here we go. Okay, Radiant Charizard also joining us on the bench. Double Charizard turn. Not a bad idea when we're looking to evolve a Charizard for its Infernal Rain ability, being able to attach three fire energy from your deck to any of your fire type Pokemon. And just as I thought, absolutely 2 on the Charizard so it can use Burning Darkness, and 1 onto our Radiant Charizard so that we can try and skew a prize trade later in the game.
Yep, Luminium V also coming down as well, eyeing up that boss's orders here, which has just been grabbed from that Lumineous Sign ability, being able to cherry pick a supporter card from your deck, and he's chosen to go for the boss's orders, maybe target down and start trying to put some damage counters on that Pidgeot EX. Here we go, we're Pokestopping.
Oh no!
He's hit the rare candy. He has thrown away the Dusclops there, but maybe for the moment it's not the worst scenario. That rare candy could be held on for future crazy turns. It looks like he's pointing at the and he's going for the Duskull here.
Okay, so not choosing to take a 2-prize turn, but instead going for the Duskull, making sure that Aarni isn't going to be able to Curse Blast themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of taking control out of Aarni's hand, because when you are allowing your opponent to cherry pick, when you move yourself down to 2 prizes, for example, and opening avenues for Briar and things like that, it can cause a bit of chaos on the side. And also taking the prize here, Öjvind's got a 1 in 3 chance of actually getting a Charmander out of the prizes. I believe he did.
Just checking in on that.
Yeah, he did. He's confirmed.
Lovely. So we're rocking and rolling now. Both players have the potential to win this game 1 of our finals here in Stuttgart. We're looking at our potential Buddy Poffin targets. And of course, we're looking at that Duskull again, trying just to get that set up. I think especially with Öjvind's discard pile being kind of full of those ghosties, we're certainly going to be looking at making sure that Aarni is thinking, ooh, okay, well, if you can't use them, then I think me being able to use them would be quite beneficial.
I mean, that's why we've got another one straight back down again here. But because Öjvind has taken the prize, it does mean Burning Darkness now has ramped up a little bit more. It's doing the base 180 plus 30 for every prize your opponent has taken. So 210 right now is actually taking a knockout on the Rotom V, taking a knockout on the Luminium V. So let's see where we're going. That looks like was that a Pokestop?
That was a Pokestop. Everyone is Pokestopping. These guys look like they're playing Pokemon Go, not the TCG finals.
It was like the wrong kind of game for here, but both players are discarding some vital resources there that Iono could become in handy later on, as sort of mentioned, when you want to try and disrupt and take out sort of big support Pokemon, just like that Pidgeot EX there. But at the same time, maybe just getting the resources out of the deck, maybe just good things left. Who knows?
That's the thing. It's a huge risk versus reward scenario for Charizard, which is why we don't typically see Pokestop. But of course, now we're going into an unfair stamp. Maybe Öjvind taking a prize card was premature.
Yep, that unfair stamp, one of the ace-spec choices of the Charizard EX decks. Both of these players are piloting it with unfair stamp, only being able to be used when your opponent's Pokemon is, well, when your opponent has knocked out one of your Pokemon, you can play this card and your opponent only gets 2 after shuffling their hand in, whilst you take 5.
Absolutely, and that is the concern. Öjvind now down to 2 cards in hand. We have no access to a Pidgeot. We can't quick search, and Star Alchemy is gone. So Pokestop and these 2 cards from the unfair stamp are now all he's relying on to try and kind of undo Aarni's plans.
Yeah, absolutely here. So I wonder what those 2 cards are. We do see the quick search here now. Aarni in a sort of, despite being 1 prize down, more of a commanding position simply because Aarni has access to that quick search ability with that Pidgeot EX, and Öjvind doesn't even have the Pidgey down at the moment. So being able to cherry pick what he wants when he wants is a real benefit to the deck Aarni is piloting right now.
Honestly, I think it's one of the biggest strengths of the mirror match is just being able to go, okay, once per turn, I'm going to go into my deck, get 1 card. I don't have to show you what it is because it can be any 1 card, and then I'm going to use it. Or not. Even if you've got everything you could possibly want in your hand, psyching your opponent out by potentially cherry picking something can be a strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that your opponent's just cherry picked this card and just holding on to it just kind of means, oh my god, what am I expecting on the next turns? But we do see an Arven coming down, so just kind of getting more pieces out of the deck for the moment. Here comes the Charizard from Aarni's side. Infernal Rain powering up itself with 2 fire energies, just deciding whether he wants to power up the other Charmander. Does choose to do so.
Charmander getting an energy too. It's always for good measure. Sometimes, you know, things need to be super odd later. Sometimes there's only 1 energy left, but also thinning the deck of an extra card is really essential when you're really trying to keep up with masterful play and fantastic players such as Öjvind.
Yep, another opportunity here to be the first one to deal damage to an opposing Charizard EX. Does require a 2-hit knockout from opposing. This could be a bit of a Charizard EX war here that's going to happen. There's an Ultra Ball, a Super Rod, and here we go, Pokestop, because it's not that
1,
useful.
2. Oh no, more ghosties in the discard pile. They really want to be not seen, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not getting any, I'm not getting any either. So right now, the only way to get them back is with that Super Rod back in the hand right now. But there's the Ultra Ball. I wonder what piece we can try and conjure up here. Because we've already used the Luminium V as well for his ability to find a supporter.
Oh no,
so
it just really feels like there's just not many options left, unfortunately. Luminion's washed up all those options. We've got an Ultra Ball, and I mean, really not much to receive with it. I think Charmander is the most sensible choice, but it's not really getting us a whole lot closer to our goal of taking our next big knockout. But it is troublesome for both players where Charizard has such colossal HP.
Yeah, it's just whether that's enough, right? Because it's just what I think is a Super Rod that's remaining in the hands after this Charmander is being cherry-picked out from the Ultra Ball. But at this moment in time, you know, Öjvind probably would love to see maybe that Pheasantipity come down at some point if this Charizard EX is going to be the one that gets knocked out. There's the benched Charmander coming down, and it will be a Burning Darkness for 180 damage, so a little bit short in comparison to what Aarni can currently deal. But Aarni's got an advantage to go 2 prizes up here, or 1 prize up on Öjvind's current position, but taking 2 prizes.
Absolutely, and taking out an attacker and 2 energy along with it. And with limited resources left, a super odd, but actually already some really great targets in the discard pile, it poses many questions about how Öjvind is going to come back from this.
Yeah, so this is a real troubling moment here for Öjvind. He will have to maybe go for another spinning of that Pokestop if it remains in play. Aarni does have a little bit more control over that, maybe taking it away from Öjvind if choosing to do so, of course. Remember, can cherry pick those cards. At the moment, though, it looks like that quick search has already been used, or maybe he just doesn't want to go for that boss's orders.
Yeah, kind of contemplating it, but went there in the end.
Second guessing himself at stages. That tends to what happened. You always have to try and think 2 or 3 steps ahead.
It's been brought to the hand, so that's the decision made. We're keeping it. But more moves to be made yet. The deck needs a good shuffle, so we're going to have more cards be played. No point in wasting time shuffling our deck. We've got a finals to run, and we've got a champion to crown. So we're going to go straight back in with that Ultra Ball. Okay, discarding our Dusclops.
Yeah, maybe want to eventually go into something like the Dust Noir instead. You know, Defiance Bands right now not too useful.
Alex,
there it is.
Very good, very good. I like it. I like to see it. Going ahead, thinning the deck again and kind of putting cards in the discard pile that we don't really need right now. Aarni quite confidently thinking, I don't need that Defiance Band. Behind, never heard of her.
And I think it's really becoming, in this game 1 at least of this Masters final here, Stuttgart Regionals, that Rare Candy now into the Dust Noir. Looks like it's going to be a pop-off here into the active, takes the double knockout.
There we go.
And now it's on Öjvind to see what is going to be promoted. It's going to be 2 prizes for Aarni. Öjvind's going to go down to 4 prizes as well, but this is where it gets real tricky for Öjvind. Does get a prize. I wonder, I didn't quite clock exactly what it is.
No, I didn't. Oh, it's not the other Charmander.
Wasn't the unfair stamp that's sitting in there either.
Oh, Luminion's now in the active. This is not feeling fantastic.
No, so if there is a knockout on this Luminium V here, the only other target on the board, say, for Aarni to win would be that Rotom V, because Öjvind could send up the Radiant Charizard and actually swing for a big knockout as well. So, you know, maybe that's kind of the gambit Öjvind's going for right now.
Yeah, the thought process throughout these games is so intense, especially with something as coveted as a Charizard mirror. As we said earlier, that damage scales and Radiant Charizard activates when you've taken prize cards. So you've got to time things perfectly. One of these 2 players is going to be our champion, so we know they're going to time it just right.
Öjvind has hit the Nef's ball off the prizes, just having a little scan of that hand, so can get Pheasantivity if something when it passes over to Öjvind's turn as well, following another attack. But Aarni's still got plenty more to come as another Dusclops comes down now, also staring at Öjvind's board, thinking, I can maybe cherry pick some other things off in a moment.
Well, they are ghost types. They do tend to work their way back.
Very true, very true. Never leave sight of you even after a Curse Blast here. But Aarni in a very commanding position here. But there's still plenty of time. Remember, this is the Masters final, 75 minutes on the clock. This is game 1 here of the Masters Division final. Aarni really showcasing the true power right now, as he has done so far. And yet another massive knockout.
Taking the huge knockout for 2 more prize cards, going down to 2, saying, okay, Öjvind, if you can't speed up right now and take some big knockouts, then I'm going to take them.
Yeah, looks like a Super Rod being played here, and a Nest Ball being eyed up here by Öjvind as well. It's going to be that Pheasantivity. Maybe he's looking for some way to just kind of get back into the game, maybe make a comeback if possible. Of course, Aarni doesn't have another Charizard right now. Maybe in combination with an Iono and sort of the knockout here, 1 Pidgeot Quick Search isn't enough to bring out another Charizard EX to kind of rain down with Burning Darkness. But let's see what this Flip the Script gives us, Amy.
Here we go. This could be crucial to the
Duskull Rare Candy. Rare Candy Charizard.
Ooh, okay. Rare Candy Charizard Infernal Rain. 2 energy from the deck onto that Charizard. Do we have 2 energy?
Just the 1. But I'm sure he just wants to be attacking with the Radiant Charizard anyway, but didn't hit anyway to get maybe an Ultra Ball yet. We've still got a Pokestop to go.
Here we go.
We're spinning.
We're doing it. Spinning the stop.
1, 2, 3. Oh, it's just a Power Pad, not an Ultra Ball. I think, and that's the writing on the wall. So it looks like he's conceding game 1. Öjvind doesn't take the first game. Aarni will be the first winner of this Masters Division final right now. So game 1 to Aarni.
Aarni bringing it home with Charizard, a classic from day 1. One of our first partner Pokemon, showing just why so many trainers choose Charmander.
Yeah, and one of the few other Pokemon that you find often very early to help it out as well. That Pidgey on that very first route that you get in the games as well, supporting the Charmander and Charmeleons and Charizards, as we saw it being a vital piece of the puzzle here to really push himself so far ahead.
And one of those really pivotal points was the unfair stamp, which we assessed earlier is a new-ish aspect to this deck. And then we were blasting off again with that Curse Blast, taking out the Charizard for a 4-prize turn.
Yep, exactly. Really turning things on its head there. Öjvind, of course, will be able to take the knockout with the Radiant Charizard, but the Pokestop this time not working in his favor, and just one card away, maybe just trying to disrupt with a Luminion V or an Ultra Ball to be able to grab it somehow. But, you know, it's fine. There's still plenty of time on the clock. These Charizard mirror matches can go in so many different ways because of the disruption cards like Iono, like Unfair Stamp.
Yeah.
So let's see how game 2 is going to go.
Absolutely. And these players are showing us just how masterful and how tricky these situations can be when they're both very different builds of deck. I feel like Öjvind definitely leans a little more on getting lucky on those Pokéstops, but they bring so much power when they're successful.
100%.
Can Aarni avoid that? Or are they going to take a bit of a spinny demise?
Yeah, let's see which way those spinning of the stops will go, as we do see a little mulligan there from Aarni's side. Just a confirmation, this is the Masters Division Final. Aarni is 1 game up here, 53 minutes on the clock. Right now, Aarni is in an advantageous position to try and become Stuttgart Regional Champion, but Öjvind will doing everything in his power to try and stem that flow.
Absolutely, this is the Masters Final of the Pokemon trading card game, and these two trainers have been battling it out all weekend. So many rounds and so many opponents fought, but it's down to 2 decks, and they're both Charizard fueled, but in very different ways.
Yep, exactly that. Those Pokestops could be the key to either winning or potentially losing this Masters Final here. So much on the line, so much money on the line, booster packs on the line, CP and that invite on the line here. We do finally get a basic Pokemon for Aarni here, as the prizes are set out for both of our players. Let's have a quick look. Amy, a couple of Fire Energies. Again, Briar, 1 Charmander. We can work with those. Let's see.
Bad. I like it. And the fist bump. We love that. A bit of respect between champs.
Oh, it looks like Öjvind has decided to go second here. And Aarni looks like he just top decked that Rotom V.
Oh, wowza.
We're going to be drawing some cards here with double Charmander in play. The Pidgey, though, is not there, so won't be hitting that Pidgeot EX anytime soon.
Oh, let's go. Oh, that was fantastic. That was a nice turn. Although we didn't get a Pidgey down, I don't think you can complain. When a Charizard player is going first, you just need a couple of basics, but being able to grab the Rotom as well, yes, please.
Yeah, exactly that. And we've got an Ultra Ball here for Öjvind just to find those pieces, iron up that Luminion V to get into an Arvin, grab a couple of those important pieces that we talk about, that Forest Seal Stone, the Buddy Poffin, get his board state going right now, has led that Fezandipity EX, which shouldn't be going down anytime soon.
Absolutely. And although we're talking about the luck needed with Öjvind's deck, we're also praising its consistency. This Arvin play just proves that the deck is consistent. That is how it works. That's how it functions. But then we have that amazing Pokestop element, which we've been raving about, to just bring that upper level, to just bring that element of, oh, if I really get great on those Pokestops, man, they are nice.
Yeah, we saw the Arvin being played there. It's grabbed the Buddy Poffin. The Forest Seal Stone actually is prized right now. So again, we won't be seeing that yet throughout this game. He may be able to grab it at some point. Sometimes there's a blessing in disguise to be able to utilize it in the mid to late game as well. But here, you know, Öjvind is just making notes of his prizes and what he has identified to be prize right now. You know, again, always important to understand where your resources are. Doesn't have access to Rotom V in the same way that Aarni does, but does have that Pidgey, I should say, currently set up on the board.
And as we assessed last game, that Pidgeot really seemed to be the key to a victory as in a Charizard mirror. If one player gets that quick search once per turn and the other doesn't, it can be really hard to respond.
Yeah, it's just a pass over. It's really tricky to try and get a Rotom V down alongside two easier not to knock out two prizes as well. So it's pass over. It's on Aarni to try and maybe build his board state to be as good as possible. Does have the Buddy Poffin now following that instant charge and of course the draw onto his turn, eyeing up that Pidgey of his own.
Absolutely mad. Just wild to think that that Rotom makes such a difference. We were talking about it last game where those 3 cards may seem insignificant, but they can mean the difference between an early, really solid board state, and that can just catapult you into a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do see the Duskull and the Pidgey hit the field now from the Buddy Poffins, just kind of having a quick gander of Öjvind's hand as well. He does have the rare Candy Charizard in hand, so we'll be able to maneuver into an attacker on the next turn as well. Does have Pokestop and a few other things, but Aarni here is looking to start trying to apply some pressure of his own. That Arvin is eyeing up a rare Candy.
And I don't blame them at all. Even placing some damage on this Pheasantipity would mean that we can use a Dusclops later in the game to take an easy 2 prize cards. And then you can't use Pheasantipity to respond with drawing more cards.
Yeah, exactly that. Maybe trying to limit what Öjvind might have access to at some stage. Doesn't have to pop it now. Just can very easily swing 180 into the active Pheasantipity EX. One of the few things, again, we have to keep track of, however, is when we see sort of the first hits into the Charizard EXs or opposing Charizard EXs, or even sometimes the Pidgeot EX, but it's just an instant charge, Amy. We're just building up that hand first.
And we saw it work so perfectly last game, so why can you blame him for doing the same this time? As we move on to Öjvind's turn and see a rare Candy, of course, into that Charizard, I imagine.
Yeah, looks like a double rare Candy now in hand after that top deck. Rare Candy into the Charizard. Let's pull out some of those fire energies out of the deck for the moment. Likely 1 to the active, 2 to the Charizard EX so that it can pivot. Maybe then, does Öjvind go for... Oh, hello,
no.
maybe...
Wait a minute. The long forgotten attack.
Cruel Arrow.
Cruel Arrow. 100 damage to any Pokemon on Aarni's board.
I really, really like this. Trying to stifle your opponent somehow, especially when you've got sort of these Pokemon, these support Pokemon on the bench of Aarni right now, that Pidgey and the Duskull, you know, prime targets in this scenario. This Pokestop, he's going to spin it and see what else he hits.
Go for it. I'm loving this. No!
Nothing again.
Pokemon, no! Why?
I feel like he's lost all of that luck, and it is that Cruel Arrow just targeting down that Pidgey, taking the first prize here, and it's just kind of pushing Aarni behind just on that kind of support perspective. I mean, Öjvind does have a Charizard EX with no energy on it right now, but when there's an opportunity to maybe build up a second one, you can power it up that way. So it's just Öjvind just asking questions of Aarni right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Pheasantipity saying, I'm the only bird in town.
Pokestop struggling to spin. Oh, it's all 3 gone. That's the Pidgeot gone as well. But, you know, when there's no Pidgey, you're not getting into that Pidgeot EX, my friend. Arvin and Leclerc are also hitting the discard pile. Plenty of cards to work with, but which direction does Aarni take it right now?
There's a lot of different plays that Aarni could employ here, but getting just the right tactic is the only way that he's going to get through this troublesome matchup.
Yeah, let's have a little look here. He has that rare Candy, I believe, with that Charizard. Is popping off that Forest Sealstone now as well. So maybe just trying to work out if there's a way to, I don't know, maybe Fortin into something, maybe disrupt with something like the Unfair Stamp and take a knockout on this Pheasantipity, because right now 210 HP isn't going to be protecting itself too much. That Burning Darkness will be dealing 180 plus 30 because of that Cruel Arrow knockout. So this is a big direction. Hello.
Here's the thought, and I imagine into Pidgey. Yes, here we go. We've got a rare Charmander into Charizard?
Into either. Oh, yeah, I think he wanted a nice stretcher for that Pidgeot
nice
first.
Stretcher first for the Pidgeot, and then our rare candy into the Pidgey. We did it!
There you go.
Although Pheasantipity said my Pidgey's going to be the best Pidgey, no, Aarni said, Thornton, come help me out, buddy. Pidgey's back.
And here we go. Looks like that Pidgeot EX has just quick searched for that unfair stamp. We saw how impactful it was in that game one. I'm sure Aarni's now going to rare candy up into that Charizard EX as well to take a simple knockout on this Pheasantipity. This has turned on its head once again. This is going to be dealing 210 damage and also disrupting Öjvind as well. So what a combo that we're seeing here from Aarni, and a display of dominance. In all honesty, as he's continuing, we've still got things to play.
We do, and that's the thing. You can't underestimate these opponents. Öjvind is a very well kind of experienced player, and Aarni knows that. We're not going to take any chances. We're going to use every resource to make sure the deck is as thin as possible, to make sure that every draw for turn matters. Aarni is thinning out the Pokemon. They can't be Pokestopped that way. They can't be drawn for turn because we don't want them in the deck right now. And this is going to put some massive pressure on Öjvind, as not only Collapse Stadium comes down, removing the Pokestop for Öjvind's draw power, but also unfair stamping, so that Öjvind only has 2 cards in hand, 0 card draw, and this Pheasantipity will be taking 3 energy to the discard pile with it. How's he going to respond?
Yeah, Öjvind was actually holding his own unfair stamp that turn as well. So if that Pheasantipity got knocked out and there was no disruption, unfair stamp was actually in the hand, ready to go himself. But he's only going to be drawing 2 here. They could be 2 good cards, 2 really bad ones. It's a Pokestop.
Okay.
So the Pokestop could go into a rare candy, but let's see how Aarni finishes off this turn first. It's a big knockout. 2 prizes.
All right, 2 prize cards. How will Öjvind come back from this moment? We have a Super Rod, which is great, but we're gonna, you spin me right round. Let's see, we've got 1, 2.
Oh my, not again.
No, I absolutely can't believe this, Alex. I don't think Öjvind's taken a single card from that Pokestop yet, and it's a pass to Aarni as we see the draw for turn. This could be enough to put Aarni in the forefront if this turn is played to perfection.
Yeah, there's so much going here now for Aarni. I mean, he can just remove the Pokestop again out of play, start swinging into some of these 2 prizes, or maybe just putting some damage on this Charizard EX. I mean, it's not going to be attacking anytime soon because it doesn't have any energy on it after all the 3 energies were committed to that Pheasantipity EX. And just unfortunately, Aarni had all the pieces of the puzzle to get that Pidgey back and get it evolved all the way back up to that Pidgeot EX. So yeah, this is looking like a tall order for Öjvind to try and come back from.
It really goes to show that, as we interviewed not too long ago yesterday, that Thornton is essential to Charizard in this current format, and that really shows why. I thought that was such a clever play with the Cruel Arrow, and then Aarni coming back again and again just to keep putting the pressure on. We're bossing the Pidgey, we're taking that out too, giving Öjvind no wiggle room, absolutely no chance for a Pidgeot here.
Looks like we're going to be spinning the stop for the 3rd time.
No,
He's 0 for 4, or maybe even more, 0 for 5. I've lost count.
I've lost count.
He hasn't hit any items, and that's been the trouble with playing a card like that in a Charizard EX deck. It's not something we typically do see. There are very good items in the Charizard deck, of course, but when you don't hit them and you hit your one-off Pokemon and your supporters, and just...
That's not what you want to see.
It's just not at all.
Unfortunately, I'm sure that Pokestop has caused Öjvind to get to this spot. I'm sure spinning it has had so many game-changing moments throughout this huge tournament, bringing him to the finals here in Stuttgart.
Yeah, now I feel bad that we highlighted it in his interview after that top 4 game where he hit 6 items off 2 Pokestops. But unfortunately, it feels like the spinning of the stopped luck has run out a little bit here, as we now see yet again, after a counter-catcher play of a Charmeleon into the active spot, Pidgeot EX just being able to cherry-pick whatever, whenever it wants. and is probably the main reason why Aarni's deck has been functioning the way it does and being able to really take itself in such a commanding spot because of that Pidgeot EX's quick search ability.
Absolutely, and just having really dominating board presence like you assessed earlier, a Charmeleon ready to become another Charizard, Charizard on bench with 2 energy, 2 Duskull. You really could not ask for much more as a confident and kind of very experienced Charizard player. Again, Aarni played this deck to 3 regionals now. This is their 3rd go with this exact same 60. They know how to make this deck work.
Yeah, Öjvind is the one who even pointed it out that Aarni is far more experienced with this deck than he is. Of course, Öjvind right now has been able to pilot it to this Masters final. If you have just joined us, Aarni did take game 1, again in a very dominant display, and in a very same light, that unfair stamp has turned it completely on its head. And Aarni, once again, is demonstrating the true power of why he is currently on the cusp of becoming a regional champion. But is there anything that can be done here? Just the 1 energy from the Infernal Rain.
1 from hand, tops it off. And that's going to be, wowza, that's going to be oh, this turn is crazy. I was going to say that's not quite enough damage to knock out a Charizard EX, but we are going to curse blast.
Yeah, he's calling it.
And that's it. Aarni is our Stuttgart champion, getting their invite, securing that spot in Anaheim, going all the way for their best result ever.
What a dominant display. We've been talking about it in both games 1 and games 2 of this Stuttgart Regionals Master Divisions final, and Aarni has been able to make himself undefeated throughout top cuts to this point with that automatic invite, $10,000 richer.